Kasyanov. Considerat una din cele mai importante personalități care a lucrat direct cu Vladimir Putin ani de zile, conducând guvernul Rusiei, Kasyanov explică de ce Rusia a atacat Ucraina, face dezvăluiri despre dictatorul de la Kremlin și explică situația actuală a Rusiei pe plan internațional. Kasyanov face și o referire foarte importantă la relația Moscovei cu România și ne avertizează cu mesaje fără precedent. Iată interviul acordat la Black Sea and Balkan Security Forum, organizat la București de New Strategy Center, unde Antena 3 CNN este partener media. Doamnelor și domnilor, realizăm astăzi un interviu în premieră națională cu fostul prim-ministru al Federației Ruse, Mikhail Kasyanov. Prime Minister, thank you so much for accepting this interview for Antena 3 CNN Romania.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here, and quite pleasant just to talk to you.
You come back in Romania after so many years. Can you see the difference? You've been here as a prime minister in 2002 and now as an invitee at this important security forum 2025, after 23 years, Prime Minister.
Yeah, first of all, I'm so pleased to be here just in Bucharest back. And that time, unfortunately, there was an official visit, as you correctly said, and I didn't see much. But now just already had an opportunity to walk around and to see just how lovely Bucharest town is about. Just people live and with the pleasure just sitting in the streets in a warm temperature, weather, just having just coffees, etc. Yeah, that's great. And of course, that's important that the forum discussing just vital issues of European security and Black Sea security, all the things here. Just it's a future of Europe, future of your country, future of my country too.
About this very sensitive issue, the future of Russia. What is your opinion about the war that Russia launched in Ukraine? What will happen, and if you think that Russian economy will resist and the war will last for many years?
I think that is fundamental question for even for this forum and for European leaders and American leaders too. Yeah. And that's what discussion these days is going on. And in fact, we of course should understand and determine who was an aggressor. And we should stop all these talks about just that both sides were responsible for this war or something like this. It's not the case at all. And that's why we should understand that to defend Ukraine, to help Ukraine to defend their territorial integrity and sovereignty, that's a crucial issue. There was a world order established after the Second World War. And of course, it's written in all international documents, just the changing of borders by force. It's impossible. It's prohibited. And Putin violated this international law. It's not Russia, it's Putin's Russia. Of course, I can admit that many Russians support Putin's policy. Just Putin playing just this, I would say, old sleeping genius of empire, etc., and he is quite successful in this. That's why just many Russians support him, but not all. That's why just I'm dreaming about, asking me about future, and I'm dreaming and trying to work on that, to bring closer just future for Russia when the Russian people would get an opportunity and will be able to reconfirm their European choice and build up the democratic state rather than authoritarian regime which exists right now and coming to totalitarian one.
Can you explain to our viewers why did Vladimir Putin invaded so many countries, and why is this habit of the Russian president to invade other countries and to take small territories from Ukraine, from Georgia, from Moldova, when Russia is the biggest country of the world?
The answer to this question lies just in I would say, to understand who is Mr. Putin. We all came from Soviet Union. I worked at that time for civilian economic as Minister of Economics. Putin worked for KGB, that enforcement agency, Secret Service, etc. And it appeared to be that he predicted, or he pretended to be devoted to democratic values as all of us. But then appeared to be that KGB agent always continue to be a KGB agent because they got this education and their practices, and he implements what he was taught in KGB school. And that's why he's dreaming about just restoration of Soviet influence and sphere of interest, etc. And that's why he's undertaking these invasions. First, there was the question today in the discussion, what Mr. Putin wants. He wants everything what the West allows him to take. He taken 30% of territory of Georgia. He annexed Crimea. He just occupied Donbass, and now just he wants to get all Ukraine to be subordinated to his rule. How just come that the KGB and the colonial just destroyed the whole old world order established after the Second World War? Yeah, that is absolutely clear for all European countries, for European leaders. I'm sure for that, and we see the principled, consistent position of European leaders. Ukraine, that defending our European values, and that is issue of national security for every European country. I am absolutely satisfied that such understanding already in place. Now, just we should to ensure our American partners just to join such understanding.
Prime Minister, I want to ask you what Vladimir Putin thinks about Romania, as far as you know, when you were Prime Minister, and you were here in Bucharest, and former Prime Minister Năstase was in Moscow. What does Putin think about us?
At that time, there was completely different
environment.
I would say history already. Yeah. And that time was completely different Putin. And at that time, Mr. Putin supported all the reforms my cabinet initiated. And that's why just we managed to pull Russia from the economic crisis just to the strategy of sustainable growth. And we had just economic growth 6-7% per year, and just we had just investors coming to Russia, and Russian businesses invested, including Russian businesses invested in Romania. I remember at that time, just when I was on the official visit, just we had just Russian money coming, just investing in the industry, direct investment. That was good. And at that time, just I, being a prime minister, I publicly said I was dreaming just my country soon would be a full-fledged member of NATO. Mr. Putin said a little bit softer way. He said, I don't exclude such a possibility. But talking about European Union, we had excellent relations. We had just joint meetings of the full set of Commission and the Cabinet of Russia. And we discussed just all this cooperation. And we had this cooperation. Just European Union invested 75% of direct investment into Russia, direct investment as European Union. 50% of trade, it was European Union. Now just, of course, it's different. Absolutely. Putin destroyed all these dreams and all this future. And at that time, in 2003, European Union and Russia, we announced that we are strategic partners. And we're building up the free trade zone and the visa-free zone from Lisbon to Vladivostok. That was a dream in my time. Couple of years after, Mr. Putin changed the whole environment, completely destroyed all those dreams and expectations of Russians.
What was the trigger of the Putin change of mind? Because he was also here in Bucharest in 2008 at the NATO summit, the last NATO summit that Putin joined, and he warned us about this. What happened to Putin from a, let's say, open to European cooperation to a dictator?
The answer for this question is not so simple, but the major aspect is just Mr. Putin wanted to, I would say, to interpret international law as he wanted, just with his aspects, like special sovereign ability, sovereign democracy. And at that time, he started already squeezing the whole political environment in Russia. In the end of 2004, after just the tragedy in Beslan, the massive killing of children, etc., he cynically used this strategy as a reason to squeeze political environment. He named foreign human rights activists as foreign agents. he forced to registration of all political parties. We had 40 political parties, different spectrum, and he put it only 6 under his personal control, so that he closed official step in for people to the political process. He started to squeezing, and then in return, he got, I would say, the United States leadership criticism. Vice President Cheney visited Vilnius, and was just special conference there, just of Baltic Sea and Black Sea leaders. There was special conference, and he started criticizing Putin for just violating human rights or other issues. And then just Putin started to use the gas supplies as a tool, as an armed tool, and just depressing Ukraine. That was criticism, and Putin understood that despite of his desire to cooperate, the West doesn't accept his special, I would say, right to interpret international law in the way he wanted. And that's why in his speech in Munich in 2007, he said just already that Russia is surrounded by enemies. And 2008, that was already final point. And then I remember just I was on later on the NATO summit here. Just I already was out at that time of the government, and I just supported Ukrainian, Georgians, and Moldovians for get this roadmap of entering NATO. And there was no decision on that, and that we know what happened afterwards: invasion of Georgia, and occupation as a result, 30% of Georgian territory. It was ceasefire plan, so-called Sarkozy plan, because Sarkozy was at that time, France was the leader of European Union as a chair. And there was this plan. And none of the points of this plan was implemented by Putin's Russia. But 3 months after, the United States came back to Putin and say, business as usual. Putin said, that is the way the West allows me to perform. So that annexation of Crimea appeared to be inevitable. Occupation of Donbass, same. Now we see full-scale invasion. Just he wants Ukraine to subordinate completely.
What will happen with the Russian invasion war in Ukraine in the next future?
It depends on the principled position of European leaders, and of course it depends much on the position of Donald Trump. Because just, of course, involvement of US in the support of Ukraine is crucial. Everybody knows, and this on the conference we are discussing today, just all those aspects of this. And I think Mr. Putin right now is not prepared for any concessions. He feels he is strong enough economically and military, and he conducts war of attrition, and he believes that Russia is bigger, and the human resource and military resource and economy potential is much, of course, it's much larger than Ukrainian, and he believes he would win this war, and especially then when there is no transatlantic unity between NATO allies here in Europe and the United States. He believes that's what he wanted to achieve. And if there is no unity inside Europe, that's another aspect for him. And he wants to divide and just to achieve his goals. I think that is a crucial period right now, what we see. Later, if pressure on Putin's regime continues from Europe and the United States, on a later stage, even by the end of this year, because of growing economic problems, Putin would feel himself differently. And there will be a good opportunity then to press him and to enforce him to sit down and to negotiate the fair peace agreement. But first, of course, it should be unconditional ceasefire.
Prime Minister, we want to see a democratic Russia, a free Russia, a Russia in its own international recognized borders. What will you transmit to our Romanian viewers as a Russian and as a former prime minister, when so many Romanians are afraid that an aggressive, a warrior Russia will come to our border?
It could be a case if the West allows Putin to destroy Ukraine, to win this war. Putin, of course, will go then further from Kherson, further to Odessa, and then to Transnistria. And then, if nothing happens, just Moldova will be taken by 1 week, 3 days. And it will be closer, that's already on your borders. That's why that's important, so that Romanians would understand that they being a very important, strong country in the European Union and the NATO. So to defend and to deter Putin's aggression. I think it's very important. And there is issue of national security for state of Romania. That's absolutely the case. And I think just getting just results of these elections, congratulate that you finally got these elections, you have just elected president, just that's Romanian people reconfirmed their understanding that is very serious. To defend, to support Ukraine, it's very serious because it's not only people of Ukraine, but it is issue of national security of Romania, for people of Romania.
Prime Minister Mihail Kasyanov, thank you so much for having this interview.
A great pleasure. Thank you.